Before that was Jesse. Before that was Tony. You know what I mean? So everyone, and I'm making a YouTube series of us checking out this game together called the Stanley Parable, where you play as a guy named Stanley who sits in his office one day, okay?
Hold on,
And
I'm gonna recall.
yeah, I can hear that. Is it just the slider to the dog and the cat are friends? What is going on? Aww. Is this until the number 5 becomes the number 9? Okay. Please adjust the slider to stop adjusting the slider. Okay. I did it. Which one of the two made the words below most appealing to you? Oh, what? I don't... Which word seems more appealing to me? Words are most appealing to me. I don't... Scrum Tush. Yeah, we're going with Scrum Tush all the way. Scrum Tush. Please don't adjust the slider. Okay, cool. What do you know? What do you know? Do you know what time it is right now? No? Is the time... Is time... What? Is the time that it is right now the correct time? Sure. Yes. What is time anyway? Yes, what is time anyway? Tell me. Is there anything about yourself that you haven't told me? Of course. Yes. How? Like, what is going on right now? Oh, and he's on the phone? Okay, yes, I want to help you. Will you come back to visit me? Yes. I don't know what's going on. So we're about to begin the share play of the Stanley Parable. And I hope Jesse saw that somehow. That was hilarious. On holiday. So here we are. The share play has been sent out. You are on. You're on the main menu. Trevor from Ottawa. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Tell her that I'm taking you on a mind-blowing experience right now.
30s?
34.
34.
Years young. Say years young. Say years young. Yeah, 34 years young.
34 years young.
I don't like the years old. Okay, so you're in your office, Stan. Oh, God. Oh, damn. Tell her I got a 10-year-old too, so I could feel real old.
He's got a 10-year-old too.
So he feels really old. Okay, so you're starting off in your office, Tessa. No.
Where are the controls here?
That's it. I can hear him.
Yeah, he can hear you.
Yeah. But you can't hear me. I know, 34, like mid-30s. Oh, it's awful. Okay, so you're
All of
in
his
your office.
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
What's
Perhaps he
wait?
had simply missed a memo.
You're on speakerphone beside the mic, so it's being broadcasted to the station.
Yeah, yeah. Tell her that she's gonna be on YouTube yelling this too.
Oh, you're gonna be on YouTube now, too.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Yep.
Yeah, your voice.
Because Jesse's insisting on broadcasting it on YouTube.
Yeah, just because he's broadcasting it on YouTube and I've got you on mine.
How can we find them? So those are the collectibles that we've been trying to collect. So far, we've collected, I think, 3. I think I found one, and like Jesse's found one, and Tony's found one, but like everyone plays this differently. Yeah, I found that one, the one in the bathroom. Yeah. Because it was in this picture, and then when I came across that bathroom in that picture, like, the game's just like, there's onions. There's like layers to this shit. Because I recognized the bathroom in the back room, and there's a room I walked into, and I was just about to leave it, and I said, wait a minute. And then I looked back, and there was the freaking collectible. And this room, by the way, did not look like that ever.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Yeah.
And that's the bathroom I found it in. It was right over. It was like behind you or something. But they're like, I don't know, little hidden objects around the game. And no matter where you are, if you press X, it'll sound like you're typing. Oh, except for if you're near a door. See?
Stepping into his manager's office,
Which
Stanley
makes
was
me
once
believe
again
you're in, like,
stunned
virtual
to discover
reality
not
or
an
something.
indication of any
If you
human
never
life.
left your desk.
Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number,
Oh.
2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
It's a good challenge in itself just to get the numbers. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Like, did you think that this was gonna happen? Like, it blows my mind, like, where this game takes you. Like, where's...
How am I going?
Exactly. That's down.
Going is weird.
Isn't it? But everyone's taken a different direction, or like sometimes different things happen to everybody. She's saying she wants to say hello. I think.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit
I think she wants to talk to you,
It
but
was
not
a stirring of
live-streamed on
emotion
YouTube.
in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
See, there's like decisions like this, you know? Mind control.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Like, imagine every office building had a security room.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many
Tell her you're
individuals
experiencing the
reduced
Stanley
to images
Parable
on a
right now.
screen. And Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored
Tell
in
her
this place where
you're
freedom
experiencing
meant
the
nothing.
Stanley Parable right now.
Yeah.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had
Tell her you're
Stanley really
Stanley.
been under someone's control all this
Stanley
time?
now.
Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
What the fuck?
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Oh shit. Is there buttons all around? 3? Facility power. I think there's a room over there.
Yeah.
I'm picturing you walking through here with this random girl calling your name in fear.
Can go?
Hey, did you hear me?
Yeah.
What did you say? Did you say something?
No. How do I get up there?
You come and call us back.
Oh
No,
god.
surprisingly, he has not.
There's a door right there.
I don't know. I think they may have blocked his number.
Awaiting input.
And when
What
at
is it?
last he found the source of the room's power. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control?
You're loading
Stanley,
mind control?
I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your
2
story
minutes.
now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start.
Oh, you're gonna press the buttons?
What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're going die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this,
the
though,
dark
this
clothes.
version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness,
press it
only
in order.
34 seconds
5, 4,
left.
3, 2,
But I'm
1.
enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some
never
extra
seen that.
time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional
that's
seconds.
3, you hit 5,
Time
right?
doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you.
What about down
That
there?
timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along.
nothing
It's just
down there,
seconds
right?
ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless.
I've never seen this.
To
This
see
guy's
you
pressing
made
the
humble.
Maybe press it
This is
that
not a
way.
challenge,
Yeah,
not so
that way
tragedy.
instead of
You
backwards.
wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever up.
Oh, you didn't make it to 5. I don't think it made a difference. I think those buttons was just different. Oh, what if you had to put in the code that you put into the keypad?
Sure.
Oh, wow. And you're back in the office again? Like,
All of his
fucking
co-workers were
crazy.
gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
And if you'd like, you can bring a reassurance bucket with you.
When Stanley came to a set of two
Beginning
open
of the game,
doors,
they give
he
you an
entered that
option
this
as a
was not the
bucket
correct
there.
way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying. But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death.
Oh,
Good
fuck.
job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
I never saw that ending.
Yeah.
Can you please pick me up?
Okay.
She sounds lonely, Jesse. Go to her. Go to her, Jesse. Bring her
All of his
over and have
co-workers
her
were
play
gone.
with Stanley.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Okay, there's the bucket. Do you see the bucket? You walk by it the whole time. Press X on
The
it.
confusion and the chaos all seemed to
We
melt
even got
away as
stickers on the
Stanley
bucket.
embraced the bucket.
The bucket's been with us for a little bit now.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
See? Now the whole narrative,
And here
everything
it was.
changes.
Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was it? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift. Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him.
Jesus.
It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the
God
bucket asked.
damn.
In here.
Jesse
Said the
took
bucket.
him.
Go into this
Jesse
dark
took
room
him
over
and
here.
Come bucket to the
Stanley once again obeyed
to the
blindly.
next office. Woo. What's going on
Now
now?
pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up.
Oh my.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
I've never seen this. Maybe there's a bathroom you can wash yourself up. Oh, he's typing on a chair. I've never seen this yet. This is tripping me out. There's the bucket. The bucket's on the couch, dude. Get your bucket back.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
So we're back in the office? Oh, there's your bucket.
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me. Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it would ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else. You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
The fuck is going on?
It's sad. I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now
We're
on,
back in
he's
your
just
office
going to
again.
cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it. Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another. Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's So much more than just a regular bucket. Oh no. I'm having feelings. For the bucket. No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes. The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation. Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it or I'll...
Go back to work, Stanley.
Go to bed.
Yeah, me too.
We three. Oh, and you're back in the office again. What the fuck? See, taking that bucket with you. Oh, the
All of
bucket's
his
gone.
co-workers were gone.
The
What could it
bucket's
mean?
gone.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps
There's
he had simply
a
missed a memo.
bucket. Oh wait, there's the bucket.
Warmth
Yay!
spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
Hi.
Stanley clutched the
Hello?
bucket tightly to his chest.
You should put it so
and
she
entered
can
the
hear
door
me
on his
too.
left.
You're like, no. That'd be too dangerous. Oh, how to find them.
Hi, Jesse.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Stop talking.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fined for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. Now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket!
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley! Find
Oh,
me!
buckets
He
everywhere.
had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was
Where
the
the
only way to
fuck- it
truly
has
restore his
stickers on it.
sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Wow. So, I've never like that ending. I've kind of seen before, but it was a slight twist with the bucket. That's for sure.
Fucking bucket.
So pretty much what it says, like, did you want to go upstairs to the... Stanley went upstairs to the boss's office. You really should go upstairs to the boss's office. Otherwise, if you go down, it's just going to keep repeating that loop thing.
Like what? I don't work today.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation. The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. Monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery...
Hey, what the fuck happened?
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and to... What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed?
I
An
can see the
unbearable
tree.
silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty. Until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No, no, no. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Okay, this is tripping me out because now it looks like you're in your office, but outside of your office does not look the same. Like, those aren't the orange walls, those are blue. That's like blue carpeting. It's not the same flooring as your office. This is just insane.
But I'm gonna stop here for now because I gotta use that.
Alright, man, sounds good. It seems you lost Jesse. And I kind of want to see what this blue carpet leads me to, so I guess I'm gonna go forward by myself. Jesse had to go abruptly.
All of his co-workers were gone.
But
What could
this
it mean?
office
Stanley
looks
decided to go to the meeting room.
too
Perhaps he had
different for
simply
me
missed a
not to
memo.
want to check out.
The good old bucket.
The good
Just
old bucket.
Stanley and the bucket. Off on another thrilling adventure together.
I really feel like it's just the bucket and I. This Texas office looks sort of... Oh, why is the door... Ah, it's bringing me back
Stanley
to the same
clutched the
doors.
bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Yeah, let's just do what they say for now. Oh, I had to do at least one run through. And nobody checked the blueprint. Yeah, because I'm like, the
Coming to a
carpet's
staircase,
blue.
Stanley and the bucket walked
The
upstairs
bucket
to the boss's
is intriguing me for at least one take. One take of me just checking things about. And then I shall jump on. But right now, I want to check this out.
Stepping into
I've
his
done
manager's
this so
office,
far.
Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have... But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. As if the bucket knew all along.
I've done this
Was
guy
the bucket
so many
guiding
times I
him?
know the password.
Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Okay, let's take the elevator down. And here we go. Okay. Because it seems like you get different endings too with the bucket. He has like a complete different narrative.
Yeah.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the
Stanley
large
and the
door that
bucket.
read, Mind Control Facility.
Okay, so there was escape. You know, let's try the escape way. Why not? We're doing it.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's...
The door behind them was not shut.
Oh,
Stanley and the
God.
bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
So,
At this point,
It
Stanley
appears
and the
as
bucket
though-
were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
I'm gonna walk towards a very painful death as Jesse gets distracted in the real world. Here in the Stanley Parable with lost Canadians. Oh, come on, bucket, save me. Oh, whoa. Where am I now? Like, what kind of office building is this? Oh, wait, I got
As
the
the machine
bucket
whirred
now.
into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Oh, God.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death.
I got dropped down instead. What? The bucket and I are going on an adventure.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
What the fuck is going on? The bucket welcomes you to the grand exhibit. You are standing at the precipice of knowledge. Much like bucket itself, the human mind is frequently empty within a cavernous void. But through use of the exhibit in front of you, the mind becomes full and enriched and sustained. Knowledge of the bucket and its history is the only true knowledge we really have. Will you take what you have learned here with you into the world? Will you accept with an open mind what may be challenging about the information in this exhibit? Will you change the lives of yourself and your loved ones as a result of the exhibit? Or will you turn a blind eye and continue to live as you were in ignorance and darkness? Wow, the bucket hit us with some like deep shit right there. Whoa. Like, this is the world through the eyes of the bucket.
Can
I
you
guess.
see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
25 buckets. A photograph of 25 buckets, the greatest number of buckets ever captured on camera. The photographer experienced catatonic shock for the several weeks as a result of the euphoria from exposure to these many buckets at once. $25 buckets. A bucket with 2 handles. This bucket is depicted as having 2 handles. Such a design has never been created in real life, having been deemed too dangerous. The recklessly experimental. Every year, dozens are put to death just for attempting it. What? Okay. That's amazing. And then here it is. What's this one? Inferno Bucket. A replica of the Inferno Bucket, which is the medieval era, was so powerfully alluring that it drove dozens of nations to war with one another for control of it. Billions died, and yet, in spite of it all, the simple fact remains: no one can control a bucket. Oh my goodness, like, what's this over here? A stress bucket analogy. Wow. Okay, now it's like a museum for the bucket. What the fuck? While we know that buckets predate the existence of mankind, we do not know by how long. This cave drawing depicts early man's discovery of practical uses of the bucket, by which time the bucket had already likely been around for several millennia. Notice in these drawings how the bucket is allowing itself to be used, having judged humanity to be worthy of its treasures. The fucking bucket, eh? Like, crazy.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
The hanging bucket. This place symbolizes the necessary relationship between a bucket and humanity. However clear our grasp of the bucket may be, there is yet that is always out of reach. This distance is for our own good here. I'm here completely by myself. I don't even have a bucket. And I feel like my only option is to just jump off this for the bucket. And just hold on for dear life. I'm going for it. I didn't think that was going to work. Oh my god, I thought I was going to fall into the hole though.
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let
Whoa,
Stanley
what?
die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
What the fuck? Oh my goodness, this is tripping me out. Okay, what's gonna happen next? And we're back in the office again. Okay, so I think this is where I'm going to end it for now. This game has been an adventure, and I don't know what to expect. Like, it's baffled me the whole time I've played it. I don't know what to do. Here's Stanley Parable 2. Thank you for watching.